Okay, hello everybody. We are live. Welcome to a new episode of Feature Showcase Live. You know that every Tuesday at 6 p.m. we discuss a particular feature of our low-code no-code platform, DaDaBIK. So if you are new to this channel, this platform, DaDaBIK is a low-code, no-code platform. So basically, a software that allows you to build applications, typically internal tools, database applications with little or no coding. It was one of the very first no-code, low-code platform, and it has been around for more than 20 years. My name is Eugenio Tacchini. I'm the founder of DaDaBIK, and yes, I've been working in the no-code, low-code industry for many, many years. And I also work in academia, teaching databases and data science courses. So yes, every Tuesday we do a live broadcast at 6 p.m. If you want to get notified about that, you can subscribe obviously the channel and hit the notification bell. So let me check before starting if everything is working as expected. Let me check here. So apparently I am live, so we can start. Let me double check here. Sorry for that. Yeah, everything should work as expected. Let's start. Today we are going to see two features that are strictly, related. The first one is revisions audit that is available only with DaDaBIK Platinum version. The other one is the SQL and Access logging that is available also with DaDaBIK Enterprise. So Enterprise and also, Platinum and also Enterprise. In case you don't have DaDaBIK yet, you can get DaDaBIK at dadabik.com/download. There is a free trial, 30 days, and you can get the software there, or you can try the demo, the online demo, dadabik.com/demo. So I always use for this show the same inventory system application I built with DaDaBIK. It's a very simple one that I built almost no code, probably a few lines of code, but it's almost no code. It's a classic inventory system application with a dashboard, our products, our suppliers. We can add movements, inbound and outbound movements. We have an approval system for suppliers. We can see our warehouse with the of each product and the estimated value. This is just to introduce the application we will use to show this feature. But this is just one of the thousands applications you can build with DaDaBIK. So what is revision? What is revision audit? So with revision, basically, you keep track of the changes in your data. this is very useful, especially if your application is critical. Probably you have been there before. Maybe you are looking at a piece of data, a data point like a customer, a product, and you realize that the data is not the way it should be. Like you're looking to a customer record. You think the address of the customer is the one you entered, but actually the address is not correct, and you wonder what happened. So who and when changed that address? So the revisions feature helps you to understand how your data has evolved during the history of your application. So basically you can see for each table who and when inserted the data, changed the data, deleted data. Not only for each table, but also we will see it specifically for each record. So obviously this could be very useful. You can it can help detecting misuses of your system, and also unexpected behavior by your users, or even unauthorized activities of your system, of your application. Sometimes you may need sometimes maybe you must provide accountability through the logging of the user's activities. So you must implement a kind of revision in some way. So that's another situation where this feature is very useful. So how can we enable revisions audit? So first of all, as we said before, this is only available for DaDaBIK Platinum Edition. So let's say that for movements, we want to enable revisions, because yes, you can enable revisions on a per table basis. Maybe you don't want to enable for all the tables, and you can do it. So let's edit the application, pages, movements, and we check revisions. We check revisions, save changes, and that's it. From now on, things we do on the revision, on the movements table, will be subject to revisions. Let's see how it works. So let's add a couple of records here. So create new product, I don't know, Roland, outbound quantity 2, and save. Okay, this is our record. Another one. This time is MacBook Air, outbound quantity 1. Okay, this is our record. So we register 2 outbound movements. Then let's say that we realize that we made a mistake. So the quantity was not 1, it was 2, even for the MacBook. So I change the quantity and I save. Okay, so now we have executed 3 operations: 2 insert or create operations and 1 update operation. Show revisions. This button only appears if you are logged in as an admin user. Okay, non-admin user cannot see this button and cannot see the revisions. Show revisions. Here we go. So here you see all the changes in this table. So the first one is this one. Okay, date and time. It's an insert operation by root. This is the user who did it, and this is the record. All the data about the record. So next operation, also an insert, same thing, and then an update operation. An update operation, and here you see the current version of the record after the update with quantity 2. So having all this data, date and time, user, operation, it's very easy to understand why something happened. Maybe, again, as we said at the beginning, maybe you don't understand why, I don't know, the phone of a customer is stored, well, a particular phone number is and wrong is stored, but then you look at the revision and you see that at some point a particular user of your system changed the phone number and input the wrong number, for example. Okay, so hide revision, we go back to the standard grid. Let me show you something more. When you are in a record, like in this case, so not in the grid, but in a single record, if you click on show revisions, you see only the revisions related to that record. So you can see the whole history of the record. Okay. Insert, update, and also delete operations are tracked. So if I delete this record, then in the revisions of the table, I will see also, you know, the delete operation. Okay. Yeah, that's how the revisions audit feature works. Let me tell you one important thing. So when you enable revisions for a particular table, basically what is happening is that DaDaBIK is creating an additional table with more or less the same schema of the one you are revisioning, where the archived records are stored. Okay, because one of the rules of DaDaBIK is that by default DaDaBIK never touches your database. It always uses external tables to keep you know, the meta data. So what happens, what I wanted to say is, what happens if the scheme of your table changes? So let's say that, for example, we realize that for the movements table, we need an additional field. Let's call it test, just an additional field, just to show you what I mean. So here, add field, let's call it test, is integer number and nullable yes, let's say. Okay, and save. So now you have the schema of your table that is changed. However, the schema of the revisions table is not changed, has not changed yet. So it's still the original one. Okay, let me change something here because I want to show you. All right, so let me reshare the screen now. Okay, now I'm sharing PHP my admin, but let me go back here. So we have added a test field, right? Now let's add a movement here. So product, Samsung Galaxy, outbound quantity to date, test, blah, 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 and save. Okay, we got an error. Why? Because currently, when you change the schema of your table and revisions is enabled, you have to manually adjust. When you change the schema, I mean, you add or remove field, you change the field types, you have to manually change the revisions table as well. Okay, this maybe is going to change in the future, but at the moment it is like that. So to fix this, I can manually, well, here you see a bunch of tables, but the important one is DaDaBIK revisions movements. The table was the movements table. A DaDaBIK revision movements has been created because you enable revisions for that table. So I just need to change the structure of this table, add a new field with the same characteristics. So test, integer, and null, and save. Okay, and now if I reload the page, it should work. All right, it's working. Now let me check my notes to see what I want to tell you again. Okay. So one thing you should take into consideration as well is that revisions are triggered by the create, update, and delete operations you execute with DaDaBIK. Okay. Well, obviously, if you if you execute operations outside DaDaBIK on the same database, DaDaBIK cannot know that, so they are not tracked. And they are not tracked also if you execute queries with your own custom code. However, if you are using the custom code API, let me go here on the manual. So if you use custom code API, then the revisions are triggered. So for example, if I update a record using the update records method, then the revisions are triggered. So your update will be part of the revisions. However, there are a few, corner cases when we talk about revisions. So I recommend to read the chapter in the manual about audit revisions, because here everything is explained in more detail. Okay. And this was the audit revisions feature. Now, let's move on and let's talk about SQL logging. So SQL logging is also available on DaDaBIK Enterprise. And to enable it, I have to set enable SQL logging to 1 in my config custom file. Okay, once you set it to 1, the SQL logging is enabled. What happens? Well, So even in this case, the operations, create, update, and delete operations you do on a table are tracked, but in a different way. Let me show an example. Let me check. Well, we can do it in the movements table again. So once again, we create a new movement. iPhone, this time is inbound. One supplier, Apple, test 12. This is the first one. Then we update this record and we change the quantity. Let's say it's 2. And finally, we delete this record. Okay, good. Now, these operations, the actual SQL operations executed by DaDaBIK, according to what we did in the user interface, are stored here in the DaDaBIK logs table. As you can see, we have 3 records, one for each operation. So this time, what we store is, well, once again, the username of the user, the operation, the timestamp of the operation, and the last, the last thing we store is different, the SQL executed. So here, for example, this is the exact SQL query executed by DaDaBIK when I inserted the movement. Okay, and the same for the update operation and the delete operation. Well, I want to discuss the different approach, revisions audit versus SQL logging. But first, let me show an additional thing we can do. Enable access logging. Enable access logging. So when you enable access logging, not only the insert, update, delete operations are logged, but also the login. So let me log out and log in again. And you will see here my login. So we know that at this particular timestamp, the user root logged in. Okay, so this is something more you can track. In addition to the create, update, delete operations. All right. So now, let me tell you that even here, when you execute queries using your own custom code, those are not logged here. But if you use, as we said before, custom code API, they are. But even in this case, I recommend to check the documentation to see all the corner cases and additional details. So now let's try to see to discuss the differences between the first and the second approach. They refer to the same thing, but the data you store is quite different, right? Because with history, you store the actual, version of the records, the actual data. With SQL logging, you store the SQL statement. So having said that, we can, we can say that also the target audience of the two features is different, because this is something that anyone without any technical knowledge can understand. Instead, this kind of logging is understandable only by people who know, technical people, basically people who know SQL. And generally speaking, obviously this approach is much more user-friendly. It's much easier to, for example, track all the history of a specific record, because you just go to the record, you just open the record. Let me go back here. Open the record, and you click on show revisions, and well, in this case, we probably deleted all the revisioned records, but I showed you before. For a single record, you see the whole history since the creation of the record with all the changes, and for each change you see all the data, the user who changed it, and the date and time, right? So for example, it's quite easy to know how a particular record was at a particular point in time. And this is not very easy here, right? You should go, you should execute SQL query into this DaDaBIK logs query, trying to filter out the tables, the field, but this is not easy because you don't have structured information. So you should kind of filter data looking at strings inside SQL. So it's not very straightforward. Okay. Okay, I think that's basically all I wanted to tell you. Let me check my notes. Yeah. So the very last thing I want to tell you is, since we are, well, if you enable these features, maybe you are, well, not maybe, you are collecting data about your users. So for example, you are collecting access logs. Okay. So I recommend to check if you have legal consent to do that. Maybe the purpose of providing security is, enough, is legitimate interest, but maybe it's not. It depends on many factors, the country you are operating with the particular law you have to follow, and so it depends. It's case by case, must be evaluated case by case. I'm a computer scientist. I'm not a lawyer, so I cannot give you legal advice. I just want to recommend you to check this aspect as well. So that's it, I would say, for today. Let me check here. Obviously, if you have any questions, let me know here in the chat, but also later with comments, because the live will be then available. And well, otherwise, I will see you next Tuesday. Probably next Tuesday I will discuss in depth import from Excel CSV. We will see how to import data into DaDaBIK application from Excel. not only how to import, but also how to synchronize a table you have here, some data you have here, with the data you have stored in an Excel file. All right. So that's it for today, and see you next time. Ciao.